Hey, Scott Stockham with Repfabric. Super excited about our session today, John.
Absolutely.
One of the legends of the industry.
Yeah.
We've got the former rep, by the way.
Yep. And current manufacturer.
Current president of the manufacturer.
Yeah, lives on both sides of the world.
So let's welcome in Scott Lindberg. Scott, what's up, buddy?
Legend in his own mind. That's it. That's what they say. Just to be clear, I'm a recovering manufacturer's representative because I do go to meetings. So
I'm a recovering manufacturer, so I know how you feel.
So Scott, you've got an incredible background on top of both being a manufacturer and a rep, and as the recovering rep, but you're also a founding board member of Murph IPA. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about your background. Just how did you end up where you are today?
Yeah, well, listen, I wouldn't say I was a founding member of Murph, but I was certainly involved in the board of Murph and the board of IPA, and still involved in the Murph endowment there as well. But hey, it started. My folks started the rep business back in 1963, and so I was 2. Not to give my age away. But I was 2, so I've been around the rep business forever. And my father passed away when I was in college, and my mother said, "Should I keep the rep business going? And do you want to join the rep business?" And I go, "I have no idea what you do. All I see is a bunch of paper and stuff." And she said, "Well, let me send you to a sales meeting." All right, I go to a sales meeting. During college, I went to a sales meeting, learned all about a product. Then we went golfing, and then we had dinner and drank and did it again the next day. And I said, "I want to be a rep. This is a great job."
That's awesome.
And how long were you in that business?
I started in the rep business in 1983, and I got out of the rep business in 2000, and I joined our largest manufacturer, which was Advanced Power Technology way back when, and went to the dark side and became a manufacturer. Worked there for a few years, and then we were acquired by Micro Semi. Worked at Micro Semi for a little bit, and then had some greener pastures, which didn't turn out so green. It's not always greener when
part of the journey.
After about 6 months at that greener pastures, I said, "You know what? I'm going to go do something different." I became a consultant. That's the technical term for unemployed.
The greenest of pastures.
Yeah. So that's when I found Quell, and that was in 2013. And I've been with Quell ever since, and I'm having the most fun I've ever had in electronics.
That's awesome. Yeah, tell us about Quell a little bit.
Quell is about 31 years old. We make EMI RFI filters for connectors. It's a silicone rubber insert that goes over the pins of a connector and seats at the bottom of the connector and makes a standard connector, a filtered connector, or a transient protected connector in a matter of seconds. We go into military, defense, aerospace, space applications. It's really cool because if you tell me right now, Scott, that you want a part that has this, and this, totally custom, I'll design, build, and ship it to you today so you'll have it tomorrow.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing.
It's a great American business too.
And how does Quell go to market? How do you have direct people or reps or?
That's a great question. And so the reason I got involved with Quell is because they wanted to hire a manufacturer's rep. And my background is in the rep world. So I got down here with Kevin and Paul, the 2 founders, and I said, all right, let's interview this guy. And we just did the things that I normally do. And they go, never would have asked those questions. And I said, well, let's go. And so in 2014, we started hiring reps. And I got to tell you, our sales, it takes 18 to 24 months for a rep for any sales guy to really get their arms around stuff. And in 24 months, our sales just took off.
Wow.
And we have grown consistently ever since. And it is 100% due to manufacturers' reps.
Let us in on your interview techniques on these reps. What do you ask them that the other guys were surprised that you asked and never would have thought to do?
Well, when you're talking about, our 2 guys were engineers, so they were surprised about every question. Obviously you want to have reps that have feet on the street, and that really depends on how big you are, right? So if you're a $10 million line in the territory, you want a lot. You want focus. If you're a $200,000 line in the territory, you're just happy to have one. Right? So it just depends. So understanding our size, I don't want the biggest reps in the territory, but I want good reps, right? I want the same customer base. I want a good mix synergistically with our markets. Again, we're military, aerospace, and space. If I'm talking to a rep in there, industrial, medical, and food brokers, that ain't going to fit.
It's not for you.
want a good fit, and I really want a good culture, a cultural fit. I want, people work with people they like, right? And that goes both ways. If I like them, we're going to work closer together. And so that's really, really important as well.
Is that why we kept him on Zoom?
We could have been down there with you guys.
I know. What's up with that?
We'd be playing checkers on the wall.
That's right. So what do you think that great relationship looks like? Like you said, culture. What are some of the aspects of that you find attractive to meeting people, right? A lot of times you go into interview reps and you don't know them and you're trying to assess that. How do you, what's your approach?
Well, I mean, just talking to you guys, right? You guys are great guys, and just relationships, people that can create relationships. If you can't create a relationship with me and I'm a prospective principal, you're not going to be doing it with customers.
No, that's right.
So how do we just get along? So relationships are very key. I did a deal called the 5 Secrets of Sales Success, and relationships are really key, right? Communication, you can't get the communication off the bat, but communication creates relationships. Follow-up creates relationships. And that's what you want from a culture standpoint. And you also, when you're looking for a new manufacturer's rep, you talk to other people, talk to your network, right? I know reps all around the country from my, however long I've been doing this, 40 years plus. And I call other reps and say, hey, what do you think about these guys? And you get recommendations. Oh, I love those folks. So the rep that we hired down in Florida, can I name names?
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we just got together with Connolly Associates down in Florida, and I really didn't know them. And they came recommended from several of our other reps and different folks that were calling and saying, hey, have you talked to these guys? And I go, no, I have not talked to them. Got on the phone, and boy, I tell you what, just culturally and personality-wise, it was a perfect fit right off the bat. Yeah, great guys.
Awesome.
I can tell you, Scott, when I was a manufacturer going back a few years now, we never really asked this question, but I hear more and more from rep agencies that when they're being interviewed by a manufacturer, they get the question of, do you have a CRM system, right? So is that a question that you typically ask of a rep agency?
I do. I do want to know that you understand the business. And we're talking about Repfabric. What we need. So reps hate reports. Manufacturers ask for reports. Repfabric is a great reporting tool, but CRMs shouldn't be used for reporting. That's just a side benefit. To me, CRMs should be used so that you can track your business and understand what you have to do.
Should be making you money, right?
It should, absolutely. Yep. It should be something that you look at. When I was back in my rep days, I was using Empowering Systems. Repfabric didn't exist back then. And every Monday morning, we would pull up Empowering Systems and look at all the new quotes, all the new samples, all the new orders, and go through all the opportunities to make sure we were on top of them. What do we need to follow up? What's critical for this week? What's critical for this month? Right. And so reps and manufacturers need to use their CRM tool to drive this, not just to get a report.
Exactly.
And you're the follow-up king, from what I understand, for the reps you work with. That's what they say. Scott is the follow-up king.
They probably don't like it.
No, but it's good. It keeps you on your toes, right? And you make sure you don't miss those things that you shouldn't miss. And that happens all the time, right? Especially in long demand generation cycles, like you have in your business, right? 2 years.
Yeah, well, it's 2 years to get started, not 2 years for our design efforts. Our stuff happens pretty quickly. But when you've got an opportunity for us, everything we do is custom. So if we've got a custom opportunity and somebody asks for a custom part and we send them a free custom sample, they're going to do something with it, right? And we have to follow up. And so when you talk about follow-up, that's where I think a good CRM comes in, because it reminds you, hey, follow up on this, follow up on this. And you go back to relationships. I think the most important things for any salesperson is follow-up. Because if you follow up, if I follow up on something for you, I'm going to all of a sudden say, hey, I got an opportunity for you, and now I'm going to communicate it with you. And I've communicated to the customer, and now I'm communicating with you. And that drives relationships. And at the end, if you do all that, you're driving business and driving revenue.
That's right.
Absolutely. And I know a lot of your reps that run Repfabric utilize our samples module to track what he was just talking about on samples. And some of them use the lend items module as well to track certain things. So I know they're utilizing those too. So
yeah. Well, and your business is unique because a lot of times it's the black art of RF, right? And you're helping solve a problem that has a sense of urgency. And so I think the other side of the rep business is being ultimately responsive. Right, you're there within a day or two, right? Because you're in territory. Scott, do you have any thoughts or comments on that?
Well, so again, follow up is so key to everything because so with our parts, you're right. It's black magic when it gets into the lab. So you drop it into the connector, it either works or doesn't work, right? It either solves a problem or doesn't. If we don't, if we don't follow, and this goes for a switch, this goes for a connector, this goes for anything. It either solves the problem or it doesn't. So if you don't follow up, what does the customer do? Whatever they want. If it didn't work, they go someplace else. If it did work, they say, yeah, it worked, but I'll try something different, or I'll go to a different connector supplier, a different switch supplier, because they both worked. If you follow up on all this business, you can either solve the problem. So it didn't work. What happened? Why didn't it work? Let me get you a new sample that you can try in there. If it did work, all right, when do I get the order? What do you need
when's
from
the
me
order?
to get the order? Right? So follow up is so key in everything we do. And we're so busy as manufacturers reps. I mean, reps have 10, 15 lines, 20 lines, and you got 20 masters, right? And they're all asking for your time and stuff gets, falls in the crack. And that's why we follow up so much.
Nice.
Right. So as an instructor at CPMR, Certified Professional
Exactly.
Manufacturers Rep, you teach that class. And what does that drive for you? What are some of the takeaways that you see? You brought up line profitability analysis, customer profitability analysis in that class, which I highly recommend all reps should go to.
Absolutely.
That's a great course.
Just some thoughts, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, I've taught the line profitability for, let's see, I think the first time I did it was after I got married, and I've been married 33 years. So
Wow.
I've been probably teaching that for about 30 years. There was a couple years where I took a hiatus, but
You're literally the highest ranked instructor too.
and I keep filling out the forms. As long as I keep filling I get a free dinner once a year. I'm not going to mention it. So, no, but it's really, it's a growth class, right? In other words, any of the reps that come, you learn, you take what you want from it, and you do something when you get back to the office. Same thing from my standpoint. I'm in there talking to the reps, and I'm saying, here's some things that I would recommend you do. And a rep will say, well, what about this? And I go, that's a great idea. And I learn too. So it helps me understand more about what the reps do so I can manage our rep force better.
And I was in your class just a couple of years ago. So, and I was, again, coming at it from a manufacturer's lens. But I would say CPMR is even great for a manufacturer to learn how to work with reps better and how they really think. Well, I learned a ton in that class.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
I will say, go ahead.
Well, one of the biggest problems in the manufacturing world is manufacturers don't understand what makes a rep tick.
Right.
And if you don't understand what makes a rep tick, and you've never carried a bag, when they go out to make sales calls, I mean, it's really easy from my standpoint. I call up and say, hey, John, make 3 days of sales calls for us. All right. I'll be down there in 3 weeks. Click. My world is done. Right.
Right.
But you now have to go spend 10 days trying to figure out how to make 3 days worth of sales calls for me.
Yeah.
And I've messed up your life for a long time, and it's not easy. And
no, it's not easy.
Manufacturers need to understand that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, even in my old business at American Standard, most people that worked at headquarters thought that we sold white toilets to Home Depot, and that's what we did. When in fact, my whole side of the business, the trade side, we had to explain constantly what a manufacturer's rep is and the benefit they bring and the reason why we have them. So it can be a very tricky thing. And as you, I don't know if you know Scott, but as you know, John, after I left that business 6 months later, they got rid of almost all the reps.
Yeah. Tragedy.
Yeah.
And I don't think they're doing too well without them either, right?
No, I think there's some struggle on the top line. Yeah.
Interesting. Well, Scott, what are some of the things that you wish that reps understood a little bit better about manufacturers, right? We kind of talked about the rep side a little bit. Let's talk about the manufacturer side.
About any manufacturer, I think it's every manufacturer should want the reps to drive revenue. I mean, I talk about it all the time. I want to drive the reps commission. Right? If we can send bigger and bigger checks to the reps, they're happier. What I want reps to know is just follow up and communicate. That's going to drive everything. We already talked about that. I think it's maybe it's more important that the reps sell the manufacturers on what the rep function is. Because manufacturers going direct, as you said, Scott, that's a terrible thing.
Yeah.
I don't think I can't think of a manufacturer that should be direct. And I will tell a story. When I left the rep business, I had one customer that I owned, as people say. I was in there all the time. I was in there every Thursday, but I went there every Thursday and I didn't make appointments for our number one line. because they were going to talk about it. It was going to come up. So I made appointments for all the other lines. I want to talk to you about this widget, that widget, and the other stuff would come up. And I would see 20, 25 people every Thursday.
Wow.
I went to the manufacturing side, and we took that as a house account.
Oh, wow.
It made sense. I owned it,
Yeah.
right? But with one product line, I had to go up there and sell the same thing every week.
Yeah.
And I was not near as effective as I was as a manufacturer's rep with 15 lines that I could go in and talk about.
Synergistic selling, right?
Yeah.
I lost the G2 from, hey, I'd go in to talk about this switch, and they'd say, hey, did you hear about the new program over here? Right? And so I lost so much information, and it was about 6 months before I said, all right, we got to go back to the rep model here. I own it. I own the account. I know everybody there, but I can't get in there like I used to.
Interesting.
Interesting.
Well, and I think the other huge aspect of that is the variable cost of sale, right? What happened in COVID when the supply chains essentially stopped?
Absolutely.
Right? You know, that's the other reason you want to have reps.
I had a competitor that had a direct team that laid off half of them, and
Oof.
their business went
Ugly.
way down.
Ugly.
Yeah, during COVID. So, hey, Scott, thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate it. How can people get a hold of you if they want to reach out and talk with you?
Well, I guess the easiest way is send me an email.
Okay.
Send it to scott@quell.us. QUELL.us.
All right. Now, I know you're also on LinkedIn as well. So,
I'm on LinkedIn.
yep.
I put out my phone number, but then, people call me. So, hey, guys,
great.
Awesome.
I really appreciate you guys having me. You guys, I love Repfabric. By the way, Power BI stuff is just rocking and rolling. Love it.
Thank you. Where do you see the new AI stuff? It's getting even better.
It's pretty exciting.
Can't wait.
Yep.
Can't wait.
Cool.
Awesome.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, Scott.
Appreciate you.
Thanks, gentlemen. Cheers. Sell,
Thanks.
sell, sell.